श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषगुरो ज्ञाननिधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नमो धर्माय महते नमः कृष्णाय वेदसे ब्राह्मणेभ्यो नमस्कृत्य धर्मान् वक्ष्यामि शाश्वतम्। नमो भगवते तस्मै व्यासाय तदीशे यस्य प्रसादात् वक्ष्यामि नारायणकथामिमाम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. Previously, we were looking at Sanjaya informs, returns to Hastinapura, and he informs Dhritarashtra that Drona has been killed by Drishtadyumna. And Dhritarashtra grieves hearing that, and he asks all the questions how Drona battled, who supported him, who protected him, and what all things that happened in that battlefield. And then he was asking, how did Yudhishthira face up to Drona? How did Bhima face up, and what did Arjuna do or Nakula Sahadeva do? Like this, he was asking, and then he asked, discuss about. He remembers that there is Krishna, and he was explaining how great Krishna is, and he tells Sanjaya that I will tell you the greatness of Krishna that's there on Pandava's side, and he was explaining that, and that's what we are looking. We just continue that from there, from that point onwards. So he says, I will explain the greatness of Vasudeva, that Govinda, and he says that he was born in that cowherd family, Nanda's family. And the things here, Dhritarashtra explains, all these things are very much detailed in Srimad Bhagavata Purana. Okay. Effectively, all the Krishna's leelas that come explained in Bhagavad Purana, especially in the Ashtamaskanda, 8th chapter, 8th book. All those things here explained in detail here, or in short, in one chapter in this section of Drona Parva in Mahabharata. And again, we don't see much of Krishna's early life described in Mahabharata. If you have to look at his childhood and all those things, we have to look at in Srimad Bhagavad Purana. So Dhritarashtra explains that he was born in the covered family Nanda, and at the very young age while he was a boy itself, he showed displayed his strength to the three worlds. He killed the Danava named Keshi, who came in the form of horse, and he killed him, the Yamuna banks, and then he killed Danava named Arishta, who came in the form of bull, and then also he killed the Asuras named Pralamba, Naraka, Jamba, Pida, Mura. He killed Mura, that's why he's known as Murari. Okay, and killed Keshi, that's why he's known as Keshava, and like that. Okay, so and then he killed Kamsa. He defeated Jarasandha. He protected Yadavas from Jarasandha in the battles many times. We looked at Jarasandha attacking against Srimad Bhagavata. If you look at, he comes every time attacking Yadavas, and Krishna rescues, Krishna Balarama rescues. So Dhritarashtra explains here again that with his Balarama as his brother, combined with them, the king of Surasena, Suraman, was defeated. Was in that battle with the full Akshvanya forces, and he was the second brother of Kamsa, and he was killed. Then also, uh, then he also Dhritarashtra explains about Krishna in defeating the kings in a self-chasing Swayamvara at King of Gandharas, and then also he defeating Jarasandha with many Akshavanis of, I think, Bhagavata Purana talks about him coming multiple times, 18 or 20, 21 times, something like that, Jarasandha attacking. So every time Krishna defeats him. So through that, each time he kills an Akshaunya forces. And finally, anyone remember who killed Jarasandha? We looked at in Jarasandha, Bhima killed, right? We looked at in Adiparva, Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima go to Jarasandha, and then they have a disguised form. They go to Jarasandha and then ask Jarasandha to pick one of them. He picks Bhima, and then Bhima kills him. So Jarasandha was defeated multiple times by Krishna previously, and then he Krishna also kills Shishupala. He was killed in Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice conclusion. So in Indraprastha, he was killed. And then again, why Shishupala was killed? Again, we looked at in the Adi Parva. Forgot. So Shishupala, when at the end of conclusion of Rajasuya sacrifice, if you remember, Yudhishthira asks that who should be worshipped. At the conclusion of that, who should get the first worship, right? So among all the elders and great rishis and everybody assembled there, who should get the first worship? And Bhishma, everybody was looking at Bhishma, but Bhishma suggests it should be Krishna. And when Krishna's name was put forward, Shishupala starts abusing Krishna, right? And Krishna gives him, because of the boon Shishupala's mother had from Krishna, he gives him 100 opportunity to make mistakes. And when at the 100th time he makes abuses Krishna, Krishna through his chakra, he kills him. Sudarshan chakra, he kills him. So that's the story. Okay, so Dhritarashtra explains him, and then also Krishna, as Dhritarashtra explains about killing Shalva and destroying his city and the seashore called Shauba. So this again we looked at in Vanaparva, where Krishna comes to forest where Pandavas were living at that time. He comes there and explains that I could not come. I didn't know that all these things were happening in Hastinapura. That's why I was in a battle with Shobha, and that's why I could not come. That's the explanation Krishna tells. Otherwise, he says, I would have stopped that dice game, right? So Dhritarashtra remembers here and tells Sanjaya that that is the Krishna who destroyed that Shobha city. And also Krishna defeated Angas, Vangas, Kalingas, Magadas, Kashis, Koshalas, Vatsyas, Gargyas, Karushas, Poundras. Again, Poundras, there is a story about a king known as Vasudeva, and he was calling himself as the Vasudeva Narayana, and he was known as Poundraka Vasudeva. And that Vasudeva was killed by Krishna. So he was acting as if he was the Krishna, and he was pretending to be the real Krishna, and he was killed. So then also Krishna defeated Avanti, Southerners, Mountaineers, the Sherakas, Kashmirakas, Aurisikas, Pishachas, Samudgalas, Kambojas, Vatadanas, Cholas, Pandyas. So you look at some of these, Chola, Pandya, these are all southern India. So it is not that Krishna uh, were Krishna had powers only in that northern part of India or where he was there in Dwarka, Mathura, those areas, but he was in southern kings as well mentioned here, Trigartas, Malavas, Daradas, Khazas, all of them were defeated, Yavanas. So all those were defeated by Krishna in the battle. And also in the olden days, he went into the sea and defeated Varuna, and then there he killed a Danava named Panchajanya, and he got the conch shell named Panchajanya from that. So this is again a story explained in Srimad Bhagavata. So Krishna and Balrama, they go to Muni named Sandipini. So they go to him for study, and they study I think 64 days or something mentioned there. So they study all the 64 Vidyas, types of Vidyas, knowledge, science they learn from that Muni. And at the end of that, they ask him, what Guru Dakshina you want? And then that Rishi says that my son was drowned, killed in Prabhasa in near the sea. So senior Prabhasa, I want him rescued. So I want him returned. So then Krishna goes inside the sea, and there he has a battle because he hears that there is a Danava named Panchajanya. It's mentioned as a sea animal, crocodile type of thing. So Panchajanya, and he killed that Rishi's son. So Krishna has battle with him and kills him, and through him he gets in his stomach he gets this conch shell called Panchajanya. But he realizes that Rishi's son is not there. Then he goes to Yama's place to find him, and then from there he brings that son back to life. So that's the story there. Panchajanya getting Panchajanya. Again, if we if you listen to Srimad Bhagavata, it explains in detail of this episode. So then Dhritarashtra explains about Krishna with Arjuna gratifying Agni and sacrificing the Kandava forest. And through that, he got Sudarshana Chakra. And he also, riding on Garuda, he went to Amaravati, Indra's capital. And from there, he bought Indra's Parijata flower from Nandana Gardens. Indra's garden is known as Nandana. There you will have all the celestial plants and everything, and Parijata flowers were there. Satyabhama wished to have that. So the story again, briefly, the story is Aditi's earrings were stolen by Naraka, and Krishna kills Naraka and returns those earrings. And then Satyabhama helps him in that, and they go to heaven to return that. And then while Parijata plant was seen by Satyabhama, and she asks for that flower to be brought back to her home. She was a good gardener, so Krishna tries to get that, but Indra, forgetting all the help Krishna did, he uh, protests. So then, forcing Indra, he brings that, defeating Indra himself. So Krishna brings that Parijata flower to his Satyabhama Swam. And there is further stories outside Bhagavata, folk stories of Satyabhama and Rukmini becoming jealous of each other because of that and things like that. But Bhagavata does not go into that level of detail. So that's the story Dhritarashtra explains. And also he explains that uh, among all the kings, we also know about Krishna defeat all the kings, and it is great things that he has performed in my own court. So this is again Dhritarashtra reminding the events that we looked at in the Udyoga Parva of Mahabharata, where Krishna came to Hastinapura from Upaplavya as a peace messenger, right? Peacekeeper. So he comes there and offers requests, asks for half the kingdom, but also says that he would take even if it is 5 villages for Pandavas, 5 Pandavas. And at that time, Duryodhana tried to arrest him, put him in the prison. And the great thing he performed there, escaping that, Dhritarashtra says that I have witnessed all this through my own eyes. So I have seen all this, that things that Krishna has done. And with Gada, Shamba, Pradyumna, Vidarata, Charudeshna, Sharana, Ulmukar, Nishada, uh, Jilibabru, Prutu, Vipritu, Samika, Arimejaya, with all these many other Yadava heroes, they all on the Pandava side supporting Krishna. So they all there. So everything because of that, everything on my side is in great danger because where there is Krishna, there is always Parashuram, so there is always Balrama, who is equal to 10,000 elephant strength, and he's like a Kailasa mountain. And such a Balrama is also there with claw in his hand. So that Krishna, who all the rishis described as the father of everything. He is the creator, he is the destroyer of everything. That Vasudeva, if will he fight? Because for Pandava's sake, will he fight? And also Dhritarashtra here thinks that if Pandavas are defeated in that battle, then Krishna will take up the weapon and he will destroy uh, all the Kauravas in that battlefield. So, and that Krishna, he uh, he is the one who will he will then give that entire victory and entire arthi as one to Yudhishthira as a gift. So that's what Krishna will do if that's what happen. So when Krishna and Arjuna are coming like that, who is going to face up to them? There is nobody who can do. The Kurus cannot by any means gain victory against Arjuna and Krishna together coming against them. So Dhritarashtra asked, tell me about everything that took place in that battlefield. Arjuna is Krishna's life, and Krishna is always means his victory. And in Krishna, there is always fame. So in all the words, Arjuna is invincible, and Krishna, there are infinite merits in him, that is in excess of infinite. So he talks about that, and then he starts blaming Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra says that this Duryodhana does not know Krishna, and through destiny, he has death, uh, inviting death near him, and Duryodhana does not recognize this Krishna and Arjuna because they are the ancient devatas known as Narayana and Nara. So these two, Krishna and Arjuna, they are Narayana and Nara. Even though they are two separate forms in this earth, they are actually only one. So just because they are in this human form, they are not destroying. Otherwise, just by wishing to destroy everything, they can destroy the entire worlds. All the worlds they can destroy in just wishing the destruction, and they don't have to do anything. So that's their power. So Dhritarashtra says that uh, like change of the yuga, the death of Bhishma that came there, and slaughter of Drona, all those that came. This is nobody can overturn from that. So neither brahmacharya nor study of Vedas nor religious rites or weapons one can prevent the death. That's what Dhritarashtra says. He says that this is all destiny now. Again, he grieves hearing the slaughter of Bhishma and Drona. He says that why my heart still beating and why it is not why I am still alive after hearing the death of Bhishma and Drona. And because of their death, Bhishma and Drona's death, I have to live as a dependent from now onwards. So that means Dhritarashtra kind of concluding that with Drona and Bhishma's death, Kaurava's defeat is confirmed. There is no way they are going to win. That means their old age, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, their old age, they have to live with the food given by Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira will become the king, and they have to live in his house. So all the wealth, that everything, prosperity that Yudhishthira had previously, and we became jealous of that. So when Yudhishthira had all that prosperity in Indraprastha, and we became jealous of that, that's what he's going to get back. So he says that finally he kind of realizes that all this destruction of Kurus come because of my own acts. He thinks that all that jealousy he had of Yudhishthira's prosperity, that's what now leading to this destruction. So this is again, if you look at this, how this Dhritarashtra's description going of this grieving situation, here it is. He first asked about how the battle and how that death happened and how Drona was killed and who all fought and things like that. And then with that too much grief and sadness in him, he faints and then recovers and then continues to ask and then thinks about all these things is happening because of Krishna. And then he remembers everybody, Narada, Vyasa, Vasishtha, everybody telling him that Krishna is not Krishna, Arjuna are nothing but they are Narayana and Nara. So he remembers all that and thinks about that greatness of Krishna. So it is, and then he starts again coming back to kind of normal situation where he starts saying that at that point he remembers that it's all his mistake. But then again, he goes back to his old ways thinking that this is all through destiny. Okay, so that's what he does here. So it's normally happens to it's even though it's we are looking at Dhritarashtra here, it happens to almost everybody. Okay, so when we are in lot of grief or trouble or something like that, suddenly we remember whatever our Ishta Devata, Krishna, Rama, Ganesha, Shiva, whatever we remember, and then we think that this is, oh, I did all this mistake. It's all because of that. And then finally we start blaming something else. Okay, so that's what Dhritarashtra also did. So the Mahabharata characters we look are nothing but it is us. Okay, so we have to see that how this compares to us, and that's what's happening here. So Dhritarashtra here first naturally he grieves, then realizes that there is something beyond all this, so that is Krishna, and then he thinks that I have not satisfied that Paramatma, that I have not done the good things, and that's why it is happening. And then he kind of overcomes that and then becomes his natural state, which is saying that it's all supposed to happen like this. So that's where we go next. So he says all this destruction of Bhishma, Drona, and everything, they have been killed because of Yudhishthira's anger. Because Yudhishthira, he is that prosperity he had without, and he had that, and in consequence of uh, the actions that Yudhishthira does, that means being truthful, righteousness, and all those things, the dharma is with Yudhishthira. So again, here Dhritarashtra says Dharma is with Yudhishthira. By that, he also means Krishna is with Yudhishthira. Okay, Paramatma Bhagavan is with Yudhishthira because of his good conduct, good character, and that's why he is there. And Dhritarashtra says that the hostile, it is hostile. That Dharma, that Krishna is hostile to my son. So then also then he says this is all because of time. This is all because of Kala. So the time wheel keeps going and things happen. And whatever one is calculated, even though we plan all these things, it may not happen. This is all through destiny. So he kind of concludes after all this, he comes back to his normal state. We are blaming the destiny and Duryodhana. He comes back to that state and then says that tell me all those things that happened in that battlefield. So after all this, he again asks Sanjaya, narrate this, whatever that happened in detail. Then Sanjaya starts his narration. So here, now, up to now, what we looked at is Sanjaya coming in this Drona Parva, Sanjaya coming to Hastinapura, explaining Drona's death and Dhritarashtra giving, right? So Dhritarashtra's this crying, this grief, what he asked is at the end of the 15th day, night. Okay. So Sanjaya coming and explaining at the end of 15th day of Mahabharata battle, he comes there and explains everything. Now, when Dhritarashtra asks explain everything in detail, we go back to end of 10th day or beginning of 11th morning when Bhishma has died, and obviously, between the 10th night and 11th, Sanjay comes back to Hastinapura and explains all the events. That's what we looked at in Bhishma Parva, right? So now, between 15th and 16th night, he comes back and he explains the events that took place on 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. 11th, 12th, yeah, the 4 days. Okay, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so those days. So he explains those days, what happened. So now we start looking at the events that took place on the 11th morning. Okay. So we looked at Drona was made the commander when Sanjay came and he explained that. So when Drona became the commander, he asked Duryodhana, what do you want me to achieve? Okay, tell me what is your desire? Tell me that. Duryodhana then consults his best friends, Karna and his brother, Dushasana and Shakuni, and then he goes back to Drona and says that if you want to give me a boon, then seize, that means make Yudhishthira captive, okay, capture him and bring him to me. So he does not ask for his death or anything. listening to this, Drona becomes surprised and he becomes very happy. And then he asks Duryodhana, Yudhishthira is whom you are planning to capture, sees, is that the only desire you have? Because it is normally enemy knowing that he is your enemy at this moment. Killing him is the what I was expecting. Why do you do not, or why you not want his death? Why you are asking him to be captured? I know you are not an ignorant person. You're not such a dumb person. Why are you not asking his death from my hands? Why are you asking his capture? So again, he Drona then thinks that there can't be anybody enemy for Yudhishthira. So if he's an enemy, then you want him to be killed. But Yudhishthira is nobody's enemy. He is such a character that nobody is his enemy, right? In this world, nobody is his enemy. He never gets angry with anybody, and nobody is his enemy. So when he's like that, that's why he's called Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means Ajata means there is nobody his enemy. Okay, Shatru is enemy, so there is nobody. So nothing is his enemy. So that's why he is called Ajata Shatru. Drona says that maybe that's why even you also don't want his death. So Drona, you're thinking Yudhishthira is such a good character that even you also, even though you hate him, you don't want his death. You just want him captured. Is that right? And that's when he asks this. Duryodhana tries to hide his feelings and everything, but still his face could not hide that feelings, his expressions. And then uh, he says that by killing Yudhishthira, we will not get victory because if Yudhishthira is killed, then Arjuna, without doubt, will kill all of us in one go. There is no doubt about that. Even if Devatas, everybody come, then nobody will be able to stop him. And even if one of those Pandavas survive, okay, if forget about Yudhishthira, if you kill Arjuna, Bhima as well, even Nakula, Sahadeva, they also them may be able to kill us. They probably will not leave us alone here. So that's why if Yudhishthira is captured, and Yudhishthira, we all know that he is very truthful into his promises. If he is brought here as a captive, then I will ask him for one more dice game. And in that dice game, we will defeat them and send them permanently to forest. So with that, we will be, there is no harm, there is no battle between us, there is no death. So this all battle will end and we will live forever happily. Yudhishthira will live in forest. So that's my wish. So Duryodhana tells him this is his plan. Obviously, we will know that later what his actual plan was, but he explains like this to Drona. And listening to this, Drona, uh, even though this is his motive, capturing him and then sending him back to forest, Drona thinks that this is probably what he can do because capturing him is better than killing him. So then he says that Drona says that I will do, I will do what you are asking if Arjuna does not protect Yudhishthira in the battle. Okay, so because Arjuna, if he is there in that battlefield, even Devatas, Asuras, everybody, Indra leading that army comes, he will defeat all of them, and he still will not be able to take Yudhishthira as a prisoner. So he will not be able to do that. So and I know Arjuna is my disciple, and I was his first guru. So again, Drona says that I was his first guru because Arjuna after that went and learned with many people, right? So he went to from Rudra, Indra, Yama, Varuna, everybody, and also from Gandharva he learned Natya and other things, right? So music, dance, and everything he learned all those things as well. So that's why here says Drona says I was his first guru, and he is young, he is good fortune, he is excessively intent on achieving his purposes, and he is again obtained all these weapons from Indra and Rudra and everybody. So and more than that, you have provoked him to this battlefield. So you do something make sure that Arjuna is removed from Yudhishthira's vicinity. If you do that, then I will do it. So I will defeat Yudhishthira, and once he's captured, then victory will be yours. So again, he says that once he is captured, uh, his capture is the victory and not upon his slaughter. So Drona again reminds him that Yudhishthira should not be killed when he is captured. So even if you do something cunning, even by tricks, he can be captured. So we can accomplish that. We can capture Yudhishthira. So I will do this. So but make sure that Arjuna is not in Yudhishthira's presence. So that's what he says. After this, Duryodhana becomes very happy because he knows that Drona was partial to Pandavas and he was not going to kill any of the Pandavas. So he asks for this. That's why he made this plan that if Drona captures him, then rest he can take care. Duryodhana can take care. So then, without uh, telling much about the councils he had with from from Karna and Shakuni, Dushasana, he just agrees to that, and then he tells all his troops and everybody assembled there. He tells all of them the discussion he had with Drona that Drona is going to capture Yudhishthira in the battle today. With that, we are going to end this war. So everybody becomes very happy. So then Drona, once he's promised, all the troops prepare, and Yudhishthira uh, hears about this discussion that took place between Drona and Duryodhana through his own spies. And once hears that, he tells Arjuna that you heard about all the intentions of Drona. So make sure that you are there always with me. You are always around my vicinity so that Duryodhana may not obtain uh, Drona's wish. Okay, so whatever Drona is planning, let's make sure that that does not happen. To this, Arjuna says that again, as I cannot kill just like I cannot kill my guru, that is Drona. It can never be done by me. I cannot kill him. Similarly, I cannot never give consent to give you up. Okay, so as long as I am alive, you will not, uh, uh, this will not happen. Drona will not be able to capture you. And he also says that if Duryodhana wants this kingdom after capturing you, then that will not happen as long as I am alive. So he will never attain those things. And again, he makes a vow that as long as this stars, anything that could happen in this planet, so stars may fall down, earth may split, but Drona will not succeed in capturing you, seizing you. He will not be able to do that. Even if Indra or Vishnu come and have support Drona, still that will not happen. And Arjuna also says that I will, I will also tell you that my promise never go unfulfilled. So whatever I promise, I will always do. I do not uh, recollect ever telling untruth, and I do not recollect ever having been defeated, vanquished in the battle, and also I do not recollect having ever making a promise and not fulfilling at least part of it unfulfilled. Okay, so anything, even if I promise something big, if I fulfill it completely, okay, so let's say I tell you, I give you something and then I give you only part of it. No, that's not the case. I will give you everything. So again, Arjuna is saying this in front of everybody. He's not kind of boasting himself, but he is saying the facts he is. Just think about it. How many of us can say those things, saying that I will always fulfill my promise? I never told untruth, right? And defeated is a different thing because we are not Kshatriyas, but even then, we achieve things and we whatever we promise we always promise. That's the character of Arjuna, and that's why Krishna is with him. Krishna is serving Arjuna as a charioteer. That's the greatness of Arjuna. So he says that I never told untruth, and whatever I'm telling is truth here. So I will protect. I will always, this will not happen. So then the battle begins. So with both sides prepared, the battle begins. On the Kauravas side, Drona leading, and on the Pandava side, Arjuna leading. Panchala, Srinjayas, all of them go against Drona, but Drona, they were unable to beat Drona in that. Similarly, on the Kaurava side, all the warriors went against Arjuna, and again, similarly, they could not break Arjuna. Then Drona again in that battlefield, he started destroying that Panchala forces with many thousands and thousands of arrows coming in all directions. That frightened the army of Yudhishthira. Drona then in that battlefield, nobody was able to face up to Drona. So he was fighting like that, and immediately Drishtadyumna and his forces, that Panchala forces that were fighting against Drona, they could not resist. Drona created a great confusion among Pandava host with killing so many people, and like a fire burning through the forest, he was going through that entire Panchala forces, and the arrows from Drona continuous line, them coming and destroying the chariot riders, horsemen, elephant warriors, foot soldiers, elephants, horses, all these things, that showering that continuously destroying that force. Drona continues in that battlefield. So here again, like we have seen in the Bhishma Parva, it explains the how that battlefield looked when Drona was battling. So Drona's anger became, there is a river that was flowing, and that river started with Drona's anger. It started, that was the source, Drona's source, anger was the source. And it was haunted by the crowd of carnivorous creatures that was there to eat all the flesh and everything. And the combatants who kind of died in that, they were the waves in that. And all the warriors, they became the trees of that river on the banks of that, and whose roots were constantly eaten away by its current, that is Drona's arrows that's coming through. And its water is the blood, and the uh, the the the, sh- the chariots and things like that, they became the eddies, elephants, horses, they formed the banks of that river. The coat of mail became the lilies in that water river, that bloody river. And then the flesh of the creatures became the mire on the bed of that river. The fat, marrow, bones, fallen animals of the animals and men's that fallen there, that became the sand on that beach. The headgear that was fallen became the froth, looked like a froth in that river. The battle that was took there, the canopies and things like that became the the battle itself looked like the canopy. The lances became looked like a fish in that. So, and also a large number of men, elephants, all these horses were died in that battlefield, and the long arrows became the current. The killed bodies themselves became the timber that's floating on the river. So blood was flowing, the bodies floating looked like a timbers floating in that. The chariots themselves looked like a tortoise. The heads of the people looked on the banks and things like that, and the scimitars, all this looked like a fish of smaller fishes, larger fishes, and the chariots, elephants, all this looked like a lake. Like this, it explains so beautifully. It explains how that battlefield looked when Drona was battling. Uh, Drona, like this, he continues, and he continues to destroy that Yudhishthira's army and forces that was been trying to battle. So the Sanjaya, the way he explains this is beautiful. That battlefield scene, looking at that river that was flowing, bloody river that was flowing because of Drona destroying that Panchala forces, and how Drona battles and what happens in that battlefield. We'll look at that next time when we gather.